right, welcome to this explainer. If you are an infrastructure admin gearing up for the Nutanix NCP-MCI 7.5 certification, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to thoroughly unpack a highly testable and honestly incredibly powerful topic, X-Play Playbooks. Whether you're dealing with the Acropolis operating system, that's AOS 7.5, the Acropolis hypervisor, AHV 11.0, or Prism Central 7.5, understanding how to automate your environment without writing complex code is absolutely central to your success. It's going to help you crush the exam, sure, but it's also a total game changer for your daily administrative tasks. Here is our roadmap for today. We've got 6 key areas to hit. First, why X-Play matters. Second, a deep dive into playbook triggers. Third, branch actions and integrations. Fourth, user impersonation explained. Fifth, exam traps and edge cases. And finally, number 6, key facts to memorize. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, why X-Play matters for intelligent operations automation. So what's the big deal with X-Play? Basically, it acts as your automation engine right inside Nutanix Cloud Manager, or NCM. Specifically, it's a core component of intelligent operations. It empowers you, the IT admin, to automate all those routine, manual operational processes and auto-remediate issues without needing to write a single line of extensive code. Just think about the sheer volume of repetitive tasks you handle on a weekly basis. It's exhausting, right? Well, by defining a trigger that initiates one or more corrective actions, X-Play takes all that heavy lifting completely off your shoulders. It handles the manual legwork instantly, ensuring consistent, error-free remediation, while freeing you up to actually focus on higher-level architectural initiatives. Move it right along to Section 2, Playbook Triggers Deep Dive, and the 6 ways to actually start a playbook. You absolutely have to memorize these 6 specific triggers for the exam. First up, the alert trigger. This kicks off when a specific alert policy generates an alert, like, say, a particular virtual machine crossing a defined CPU threshold. Second, alerts matching criteria. This one is broader. It triggers on any alert that fits the parameters you define, which is great because it saves you from making a separate playbook for every single specific alert. Third, we have the event trigger, which fires when a specific system event type occurs, like a node powering off unexpectedly. Fourth is time, allowing you to schedule execution for routine maintenance windows. Fifth is the manual trigger. This allows an admin to execute a playbook directly from the Explorer view against a selected entity, like a VM, a cluster, or a host. And finally, the webhook trigger. This one is vital. It fires when a post request is made to a specific webhook URL. What this means is that an external system, maybe a third-party monitoring tool, can literally call into Nutanix via API to seamlessly trigger your automated workflows. It's super powerful. Next up, Section 3, Branch Actions and Integrations. This is how we add logic and external connections. Now, X-Play doesn't just live in a bubble. It connects beautifully with the rest of your IT stack. For the exam, you need to know these 5 supported external integrations. For communication, you can integrate with Slack and Microsoft Teams. For execution, you can trigger workflow templates in Ansible. And for incident management, it integrates directly with ServiceNow and PagerDuty. Let's look at a concrete operational scenario to see why this matters. Imagine a crucial storage container is running out of space on a Friday night. Instead of waiting for someone to happen to notice a red alarm on a dashboard, X-Play can immediately trigger a ServiceNow ticket for your storage team while simultaneously firing off an urgent Slack message to the on-call admin. It gives them all the automated context they need to intervene before an outage actually occurs. For our first detailed walkthrough, let's really unpack the branch action. This is what allows your playbook to make logical decisions. It's like a giant logic puzzle. You start by selecting an if or else condition context. Then you choose an operand and an operator. Take special note here. The system absolutely supports regular expressions, or regex for pattern matching. Imagine a scenario where you only want a remediation action to apply to production database VMs. You could use regex to catch all VMs with a specific naming convention, something like prod SQL asterisk. Next, you input a value to evaluate against. But here's the critical rule you must remember for the exam. Write this down. Every branch condition must contain at least one resulting action. You simply cannot have an empty branch. When you're actually in Prism Central configuring a branch, the flow is highly visual. You just define the if condition, set your operand, which could be a global or trigger entity, select your operator, and input the value. Once this logic is evaluated at runtime, the playbook will switch execution paths seamlessly based entirely on those parameters. It ensures the right actions are taken for the right specific entities every single time. All right, rolling into section 4, user impersonation explained. Let's talk about executing on behalf of others.
For our second walkthrough, we're breaking down the impersonation workflow step by step. Normally, playbooks just run with administrator-level permissions, but what if you need the audit logs to show exactly who triggered the fix? Or what if you need to restrict the playbook to a specific user's permissions? Let's say a junior admin triggers a playbook that requires elevated permissions to restart a critical service. You want the audit trail to track that specific junior admin, not just a generic system account, right? So here is the workflow. Step 1. An administrator creates a custom role allowing user impersonation. Step 2. The playbook creator assigns an executor, the impersonated user. Step 3. Prism Central governs this with access control policies at runtime. And Step 4. The real underlying why for all of this. All actions are executed and authorized against that runtime execution user, meaning all your audit logs will correctly reflect that this specific user performed these specific tasks.
Setting this up is straightforward. During playbook creation, you'll see an execute on behalf of dropdown right at the top of the interface. By default, it's set to self. To utilize this impersonation feature, you just select Other from that menu, and then search for and assign the specific user account you want the actions to execute against. Section 5. Now, pay really close attention here, because these are the exam traps and edge cases that catch people off guard. You need to keep a sharp eye out for these two specific traps on the test. First, regarding time triggers. X-Play currently only supports standard time zones. It completely ignores daylight saving time or DST adjustments. So, if an exam question asks you about a scheduled playbook suddenly running an hour late after a seasonal time change, the lack of DST support is your answer. Second, regarding impersonation, you absolutely cannot impersonate a local or Active Directory AD user if they have never logged into Prism Central before. They must have at least one prior login. Why? Well, because Prism Central needs to sync their local profile from the directory to actually assign the execution context. If they haven't logged in, they literally do not exist as a selectable user in the system yet. Let's take a quick pause. I want to test your knowledge with a scenario you are highly likely to see on the exam regarding licensing and feature availability. Think about what happens if the foundational requirements aren't met. What underlying requirement is actually necessary to use X-Play actions and external integrations? If you get a troubleshooting question that mentions an administrator can successfully create a playbook and they can add actions to it, but the system simply will not let them enable or run that playbook, like the enable toggle is just completely grayed out, the answer is licensing. You must have a minimum of an NCM starter or pro level license to actually X-Play integrations and actions. Without it, you're just building theoretical playbooks. Finally, we've arrived at section 6, key facts to memorize for your final review. Let's lock these 4 constraints into your brain to prevent any distractor answers from tripping you up on exam day. Number 1, time triggers ignore daylight saving time. Number 2, impersonated users absolutely require a prior Prism Central login to sync their profile. Number 3, you cannot have an empty branch. Every single conditional branch requires at least one action. And number 4, without an NCM starter or pro license, you can build playbooks all day long, but the toggle to actually enable or run them will be disabled. By mastering these components, the 6 triggers, the logic of branching actions, the external integrations, and the security mechanics of user impersonation, you aren't just memorizing facts to pass a test. You're really learning how to bring intelligent operations to life. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to consider for your own environments. How will you leverage X-Play triggers and branching to automate your most tedious, soul-crushing infrastructure tasks? Think about it. Best of luck on your certification exam. You're going to do